Hi everyone, Arvin Vohra, founder of Vohra Method. Today we're going to talk about our new reports. The most important thing that you're going to look at on the reports is the learning level on each topic. And I want to go over what each of those learning levels means. The lowest you can get is a 0. And a 0 is a major situation. A 0 means that the student is not paying attention during class at all. They're clearly distracted. A 0 means that the student is basically sitting in class and watching Netflix and not paying attention. A 0 means that you are just paying money for no reason. It means that this program is going to take infinity years to finish. It means you're literally getting nothing out of it. This is the time to make major changes. A 0 means that you need to relocate the student to a place where you can monitor what they're doing, move them out of their room into the kitchen where you can watch them, whatever it is that you need to do. A 0 is a catastrophic situation. If you believe in yelling, this is the time to yell. If you believe in other types of discipline, this is the time for that. A 0 means that the student is essentially intentionally goofing off and not doing anything useful. On the other hand, a 1, not a big deal. A 1 is actually a good thing. Vohra Method is designed to find underlying missing prerequisites. And a 1 just means we found some missing prerequisites. That's good. That's what this program is for. That's what you're paying for. You want to see a 1. A 1 means we've found something important and now we're fixing it. And we're going to come back to it and build up. So if you see a 1, don't yell at somebody for a 1. A 1 is good. A 1 is fine. A 1 means we're making important progress. 1 means we've discovered the issue and we're working on it. It's just letting you know where we are. So 0, yell. 1, don't yell. 2 just means that a student's struggling with it in math and is eventually going to learn it. Again, 2 is not a big deal. Unless it's been a 2 for a very long time, you might want to check in with us, if we haven't already checked in with you first. 3, it means you seem to be getting the hang of it. And 4 means you've gotten the hang of it. But, because we're experts at this, we know that there's a good chance that just because you know it now doesn't mean you won't forget it later. So 4 means you know it. A 4 is not a bad thing. 4 means you seem to know this information, but we know that kids forget things and we're going to be checking up on it. A 5 means we've checked up on it. It means we've seen that there's a long-term mastery of this thing. A 6 means you've taken that skill and applied it to something new. This won't apply to every topic, so you might not see a lot of 6s. You might not see any 6s. 5 is perfectly good for a lot of these situations. 5 might actually be the highest you can get for some of these topics. And a 7, that's just something to reach for. A 7 means you've taken the SAT and basically gotten a perfect score on it. And since an SAT is a high-pressure situation, we know you can do this in a high-pressure situation. 7s, you're not really going to see that very, very often. Let's look at some of the other things. The persistence level. Sometimes if it doesn't seem to be a major issue for a student, we might just hide this row entirely. But one thing that develops because of bad teaching or bad tutoring is that students, they give up before they even try, or they'll give up very quickly. There was an interesting study done between American students and Japanese students. They were given an impossible problem. The American students gave up after about 5 seconds. The Japanese students stuck with it for a couple hours. Now, what this shows is that one of the reasons that Japanese students tend to do a lot better at math is because they're just more persistent. They stick with it. And so one of the skills we want to build at Vohra Method is that kind of persistence. Now, if your persistence seems fine, we might honestly just not really pay too close attention to that level. But if we see an issue, it'll probably be a major part of your report that you'll see that'll change over time. It'll go from, if you can stick with it for 5 attempts or 10 attempts, your numbers will gradually go up. Now, one thing that you'll probably notice is that the colors here will change. Bright yellow means this is the most recent thing that you worked on. As it gets a duller yellow, it means maybe it's a few days ago, and then it might be gray if it's a really long time ago. Now, these responsive worksheets here, you notice that we start out with just 3 of them. These are responsive worksheets that like 90% of our students do. We're going to add to that. So you're going to see more things being added to this list. They're just different for every student. So different students will need different responsive worksheets. Our program is individualized, it's customized. That's a huge advantage of it. So expect this number to increase. If you see 10 things on here, don't worry about it. If you see 20 things, don't worry about it. If you see 100 responsive worksheets, it means that you probably haven't learned very much of anything at all in your school math class. That's fine. That's why you're here. You're here so we can fix that. I don't think that there is any particular time where you need to be worried very deeply about a large number of responsive worksheets. Now, the number of completed attempts, this is important. Every one of the math worksheets is going to have, you're going to do it twice. You're going to do it once untimed, then once timed. So if you see a 2 over there, that's totally fine. If you see a 3, it means that you forgot the topic and had to repeat it. If you see something getting 4, 5, 6, that means that it's time for maybe a Skype call with us, or maybe just time to check in with yourself and let yourself remind yourself that you're here for permanent learning. So if you learn a thing and forget a thing, learn a thing and forget a thing, maybe it's not your fault because that is what you're taught to do in school. I mean, in school that's what you do, right? You learn a thing, suffer through the test, and forget it. But that's not useful. That's not what we're going to do. So we're going to repeat a thing as needed. So know that we're going to make sure that you learn what you need to know. Now, the hours spent and the max hours spent, that's pretty important. The hours spent is how long it's taken you on this topic, and the reasonable max is, how long is the upper limit of how long it should take you. If the hours spent is in the ballpark of the reasonable max, it means you're maybe working on the slower side, but it's nothing to worry about. Let's say this is 12 and your hour spent is like 50. It's probably a distraction. Or it could be a major learning. If you already know about a major learning difficulty, then that's just a major learning difficulty. We're working on it. Like clearly, if you have a major math learning difficulty, it's going to take longer. Don't beat yourself up about that. That's okay. But if you don't have any major math learning difficulty, you're just taking a long time because you're distracted, all you're doing is paying more and spending more time to get the same results. There's no reason for that. I mean, it's your right to do what you want with your time and money, but I wouldn't recommend it. If you see these numbers getting really, really high, there's a good chance that one of two things is happening. Most common, distraction. Something's distracting you. Whatever that thing is, get rid of it. It's not worth the price. If your kid it looks like they're really distracted, just remind them that, you would save money by just going on a trip to Disney World rather than the amount of extra that you have to pay if somebody's distracted. If somebody's distracted, this program will take 5, 6, 7 times as long. Our prices are competitive, but if you multiply them by 7, then it's expensive. The other reason that sometimes students will have a high number of hours is if they incorrectly think a particular topic is not important. You'll often see this with grammar. Many schools have stopped teaching grammar. Many kids have stopped reading entirely, and so they just don't think grammar matters. Grammar matters. If you want to read quickly, you want to read accurately, your grammar needs to be on point. Whether or not you think it's important, we're going to make sure that you learn it. We're going to make sure that you master it. So let your brain know that it's going to have to learn this permanently one way or the other. It can do it quickly, it can do it slowly. That's up to you. But let yourself know there's no workaround, no easy fix, no special trick, no shortcut, none of that. The only way to master the SAT is to master the SAT, to really learn this permanently. That's useful education. That's the best kind of SAT training, and that's what we work toward in Vohra Method. If you have any questions about the report, just send an email to learn@vohramethod.com.